Yakuza developed and Konami published, Skelattack is a side-scrolling platformer where Scully and your friend Ember must jump, duck, wall jump, slash, and flap through this Metroidvania version of the underworld to save all of the undead beings' lives. At first glance, this game may seem to share and borrow elements from games such as Hollow Knight, Dead Cells, and 20XX, but for better and worse, the similarities end there. Like those games mentioned, Skelattack has its own unique retro art style that helps the atmosphere be set alongside its charming but simple dialogue, music, backgrounds, and settings. The whole game gives me flashbacks to simple Newgrounds animations days. Just take a look at that fast travel animation, for example. Simple, clean, and smooth. But what's it actually like to play in this world? Well, for the most part, the game controls smooth and tight like most platformers should. Unfortunately, there will be times that Scully just won't move the way you want him to or should, causing constant accidents leading to repetitive deaths which become annoying, especially with the death counter in the main hub world. The game wants to trick you into thinking it's one of those difficult roguelike games, but besides random spike instant deaths, the enemies really won't cause much problems, and the worlds and levels are littered with checkpoints, only really making you have to repeat a few sections a couple times before you get the hang of it. With really 2 or 3 enemy variants per the game's 4 sections, enemy patterns are learned quickly to easily avoid them, and once you get some of the game's few collectibles to upgrade yourself, you'll be taking on most enemies without problems. Besides enemies, you'll be facing a few bosses that do get a slightly more difficult spike, and while each is unique with their own characteristics, a few one-on-ones with them and they shouldn't pose much of a threat. Even in late game, bosses and enemies won't cause much headaches. You'll be thrown back into platforming before you know it with slight gimmicks like keeping lights on to keep ghosts away or showing hidden blocks. While the difficulty isn't exactly there, the fun, whimsical, and sometimes surprisingly serious story is interesting enough to keep you going from room to room and world to world. Starting off from rescuing the Elder Skeleton to facing more ethical decisions later on, this was a story I was really engaged in and was simple and clear to follow. The story helps from being lost, confused, or left plain out without knowledge of where to go. Unlike games such as Hollow Knight, the characters always kept me aware of where to go and what to look for next, and sometimes I'm in it for the simple experience. Once the end of the game is reached, which I won't show to keep spoilers hidden, you'll be left with a surprising and satisfying ending. Unfortunately, that's it. It ends. Not really any reason to go back for another playthrough. Almost all collectibles that flesh out the lore will be collected by the end of the roughly 4 to 5 hour campaign. The hub world I mentioned really doesn't have much to do besides a shop and the blacksmith to upgrade your abilities and sword. So once credits roll, you've pretty much seen all there is to Skelattack. Scully and Ember are fun characters, and their constant banter between each other, enemies, and bosses is fun to watch and read. So these are characters that I hope to see again. So maybe one day we'll get to see them and Afterveil again. But in the meantime, if you're on the look for a simple, retro-inspired game with simple and slightly challenging platforming, fun but easy combat, and love visually charming, rich art style, then try out Skelattack. It's a great small game to play over 2 to 3 sittings or over a free weekend. While the game may seem light in content compared to other side-scrollers for the same price or even less, Skelattack is a simple, fun throwback that I feel everyone should check out. So if you've had time to check out Skelattack, let me know what you thought of it. Was it worth the purchase? Should you have waited? Do you recommend this game to others? Let me know in the comments what you thought, and thank you so much for checking out this review. Take care.